This is Abia COVID-19 update.
Abia COVID-19 update.
Nigeria is expected to receive samples of COVID-19 organics, the herbal medicine used by Madagascar to treat COVID-19 patients. That's according to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, at the Delhi Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing. Mr. Mustafa said the medicine has been sent to Guinea-Bissau, from where it will be sent to different countries. Since its launch by the President of Madagascar, Andre Rajoelina, in April, the use of the herbal remedy to treat COVID-19 patients has been trailed by a lot of debate. And since its launch by President of Madagascar, Andre, in April, the use of herbal remedy to treat the COVID-19 came up, and in response to the launch of the COVID organics, WHO in the statement said it did not recommend self-medication with any medicine as prevention or cure for COVID-19. Well, the health organization said only products shown to be effective through the scientific study would be endorsed by them. But the president of Madagascar insisted that the medicine, which contains Artemisia, a plant on which the island used in the fight against malaria, could prevent and cure patients infected with the virus. Welcome to Abia State COVID-19 update. This is the second edition for the week. My name is Michael Oni. On this program, we highlight daily reports of the Interministerial Committee on the Control of COVID-19, as well as Abia State Governor Okezie Ikpeazu's efforts in ensuring that the state is safe from the virus. It is running simultaneously every weekday, from Mondays through Fridays, on several radio stations in the state, live on BCA 88.1 FM, Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa Radio 104.1 FM, all in Umuahia, the capital of Abia State. We're also live on Buzz 89.7 FM and Real 99.1 FM, both in Aba, the commercial capital of the state. Now let's do the figures. As of 7:40 a.m. today, Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, globally 4,343,251 infections of coronavirus have been recorded, leading to the deaths of 292,913 people, and over 1.6 million people have recovered. And Nigeria's tally of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 rose to 4,787 as 146 new infections were announced yesterday by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. So till date, we have 959 cases discharged and 158 deaths been recorded, and 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory with at least one case of confirmed COVID-19, and 28,418 samples have been tested. But this morning, we're taking a look at the legal framework to regulate the government control of the infectious disease COVID-19. And this morning, we're joined by Chief Uche Hiediwa, the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice in Abia State. My Lord, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Glad to have you join us this morning.
Thank you.
We want to get the background, the legal framework concerning the control of this infectious disease in Abia State.
Thank you. Well, as far back as 1926, the British government passed a legislation through what they call Order in Council, called the Quarantine Act. Chapter 18, Laws of Nigeria. I'm talking of 1926. That law was reviewed in 1929, and it can still be found as Chapter Cure 2, Laws of the Federation, 2004. Now, it is that law that empowers the president to designate a place, what is called a local area, a place that is affected by infectious disease. So local area here could mean states, it could mean local government, it could mean any place. Now, if you look at when the outbreak started, you would have noticed that some states, before the federal government could make any pronouncement, had made pronouncements. The question is, did they have the powers? The answer is yes.
Okay.
In Section 6 of that Quarantine Act, the governors are given the same powers as the president, are given the same powers to act on behalf of the president to declare a disease infectious. And when is a disease infectious? Well, Section 1 says it is when it has the capacity to affect more than 1 or 2 persons. So clearly, from the prognosis of this coronavirus, it is an infectious disease. And if it is an infectious disease, it means that both the federal government and the state government can take steps to avert its spread. So now, if you look at the federal government, what has it done? It has taken proactive steps. Well, it has taken actions in relation to Lagos, Ogun, Kano, and then made
the FCT too.
FCT, and then ordered border closures, interstate border closure. That's all that it has done. So that leaves the governors of these states with the powers to make their own regulations relating to COVID-19. And for Abia State, on the first day of April 2020, the governor of Abia State reeled out and signed into a legislation, or what we call a subsidiary legislation, our own infectious disease control manual.
Okay.
Now, in that protocol, you will see.
You call it a manual?
Yes, it's called a subsidiary, or is a regulation.
Okay.
So there is a regulation that is supposed to answer to how Abia State wants to control the spread of coronavirus. In that regulation, you will see things relating to control of movement of persons, control of infected persons, and then in subsection 5, it also gives the governor sweeping powers to continue to make regulations from day to day. So when, for instance, the governor signed another regulation saying wearing of face mask and having buckets, disinfecting buckets in your premises is a requirement, that means that anybody now who fails to comply with these directives and subsequent directives issued by the governor pursuant to those regulations are guilty of an offense for which they can be prosecuted. Now, apart from the quarantine law, we also have the public health law of Abia State, which you can find in laws of Abia State 2005. Now, that public health law, in all sincerity, takes into consideration everything relating to an infectious disease and what needs to be done. Part of it includes that a health officer can designate a building as contaminated and infected, and if in his wisdom he feels that that building should be demolished in the interest of the public, that building will be demolished. I'm looking at what could have happened. I'm not justifying what happened in Rivers State.
I was going to ask you that.
I'm saying that the law is clear on the fact that if a building or any place is found to be, let's use the word, contaminated with COVID-19, the health officer, including the commissioner for, if they are of the view that in the interest of the public, this building should be demolished, so shall it be.
All right, before we get to that aspect of the program, let's talk about Abia State. Now, you're the chief legal officer of the state. Tell us about the fines and punishments.
Okay, now, these same laws I have referred to make provisions for creation of, for prosecution of offenders in magistrate courts.
Okay.
And as we speak, we have 3 mobile courts operating in Ohafia, 1 in Ohafia, 1 in Umuahia, and 1 in Aba. And of course, I've also assigned 2 prosecutors each to these courts to be able to prosecute those who run foul of the regulations. So now these courts are in place. But if you ask me, are they busy? The answer is no. Why are they not busy? I come from a community that is very close to a border town. The extant regulations, for instance, stipulate that our borders are shut. But virtually every day, I see truckloads of people coming through, into and from Akwa Ibom. And reports are, so the question is, if the law is being enforced, there is no reason why anybody should come into Abia. to treat.
Are you saying the enforcement is not that firm?
That is my conclusion, because even as I was making my way from Abia to Umuahia, you will see that people are coming in. So if this, I'm not like trivia, you know, they say that out of every 12 there will be a Judas, but when something is persistently occurring,
Meaning we have Judases.
it means that a lot of people are compromising the tenets of the law. And I want to tell them here and now that they are committing serious offenses, and if they are apprehended, I will prosecute them. In fact, I'm no longer interested in people that are falling short of or contravening the coronavirus legislation. I want us to apprehend enforcement officers that are not doing what they're supposed to do. Recently, the mobile courts called me to say that their experience is that when some offenders are brought to the premises of the court, they are headed to one corner or the other, and you know, something changes hands. I don't know what it can be, money, but there's a gratification changes hands, and the people are let off. And the issue is this: if we do not punish, I repeat, do not punish people that run foul of these laws, then it will look like what we call in jurisprudence a dead letter law. This is a serious matter, for crying out loud.
Are there provisions for those enforcing the law if they come against, they fall short of those laws in place? Are there provisions also in that manual?
No. The manual regulates COVID-19.
Okay.
The regulations relate to COVID-19. But when you take bribe, then you run foul of the criminal law of Abia State, for which you will be prosecuted for receiving gratification. So we have laws. There's another framework that regulates government officials who are entrusted with the enforcement of the COVID-19 regulations, both the public health law and the regulations made by the government.
So before we go for the break, let's talk about the punishment. I understand that there is a part that says community service. So I want you to list the examples and also the fines that may be paid by a suspect, or probably after being found guilty, being against the law.
Well, first of all, it's there is a fine of 4,000 naira or imprisonment. Imprisonment, yes. You can be imprisoned.
And the person
for 1 month
will be an ex-convict?
Of course, you become an ex-convict. And depending on what you want to do in future.
Let's use the person. I wouldn't want to use myself because I wouldn't want to fall short of the law.
Yes.
So.
Now, I say, depending on what the person wants to do tomorrow,
okay,
that conviction is as good as a conviction for crime. But you see, when it comes to serving the term of imprisonment, the correctional services have recommended that in most cases we should go for community service. Why do we have to go for community service? It's simply that the prisons are overburdened. They are full.
Congested.
They are over congested. Umuahia prison has a capacity for 750 inmates. As we speak, it has over 2,000 inmates.
Wow.
And that is why the federal government recommended recently that we should decongest some of these prisons, because you can imagine what will happen if one prisoner is infected. The spread will be frenetic.
So let's talk about some of the community service.
Yes. Well, community service can include sweeping the streets, a particular street. It can include maybe watering, like you have these medians where they have planted flowers. You can be asked to water it. And we have correction officers whose job is also to make sure that this community service is implemented. You can have grass cutting. Maybe we'll take you to a place that is unwholesome in terms of vegetation and ask you to cut. You can wash. There are so many forms of. You can even be vigilante. You can be You can be assigned to do COVID-19 monitoring, but the essence of a community service is that it takes you away from your routine so that you understand you're facing punishment.
All right, it is still Abia State COVID-19 update. We take a breather now. When we return, we talk about a recent, there was a jail delivery lately. So we will ask the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice in Abia State, Chief Uche Hiediwa, who is our guest this morning on Abia State COVID-19 update. It's a program on several radio stations in Abia State.
This is Abia COVID-19 update.
Abia COVID-19 update.
It is still the program that highlights daily reports on the Interministerial Committee on the Control of COVID-19 as well as the Abia State Governor's efforts in ensuring that the state is safe from coronavirus. It is Abia State COVID-19 update live on BCA FM, Flow FM, Vision Africa Radio, Buzz 89.7 FM and Real 99.1 FM. Now, we still have the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice right here in Abia State, Chief Uche Hiediwa, very much in the studio. If you want to be part of the conversation now this morning, the lines are very much open. 0808 182 6949 or 0811 605 2949. You can also drop messages on 0906 510 8289. Now, there was a jail delivery lately. Can you tell us the reason for this?
Well, thank you. The reason again is the COVID-19 pandemic. The governor, the federal government through the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation ruled the governor requesting that the governor graciously releases a category of persons who are in jail. Now, these include people whose sentences are about to run out, and then people who are aged, people who are sick, or people who are infirm. In that letter, a list of persons were sent. Well, since it's something that is within the prerogative of the governor, it was referred to me, and we had a meeting of the Committee on Prerogative of Mercy. We reviewed the list and then accepted to release, recommended, that some of the, or most of them be released except one person who was serving a 25 years jail term for murder. He had just 4 years to go. So the maximum we allowed were those who had 2 years to go. You have people who have 6 months to serve out. And I think the rationale is that why don't you let them go rather than continue to congest the prison? So that's the category that the governor through the Committee on Prerogative of Mercy handled. Then the next one are people that are being released, a continuous exercise by the Chief Judge of Abia State, which are within his powers, to release people who are in jail for very minor offenses. If you go to Afara prison, I'm sure the person has been released. The young boy who was imprisoned for stealing yam. So I do not think that such people should be in the correctional service. This correctional service and the prison will take some time.
New name.
Now, you also had a woman serving or in prison awaiting trial because the son committed an offense and the son was not available or couldn't be caught. Eventually, she was arrested with another son of hers. The son who committed the offense submitted himself for imprisonment or for trial, but the woman and the other son were still in jail. So cases like this demand that they be delivered from the jail because this category of people have not committed an offense. And then you have people that have committed very minor offenses like stealing akara, very minor offenses. So the offenses are considered minor, where the imprisonment term is not more than 2 years. Okay. Then you also have people that are been awaiting trial, sometimes beyond the term prescribed for imprisonment, assuming they are convicted. What do I mean? Punishment for stealing is 7 years imprisonment. So is it right for somebody to be in prison without trial for up to 8 years? Assuming he had been convicted when he was apprehended, he would have also left. So these are people that would have to everything has its own flip side.
Okay.
In the interest of COVID-19, we'll have to go. And I have said earlier that our prisons are congested.
All right, let's get reactions on the phone lines now. I would like to take you on the flip side on the issue of executive order by the governor, the chief executive officer of the state. If it is right for someone to be jailed or to be imprisoned due to the executive order on lockdown, for example, what is happening there in Rivers State. Let's get reactions on the phone lines now. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning. You're live on radio. Good morning to you. We have to move on. Hello, good morning to you. You're live on radio. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. What's your name? 0808-182-6949 or 0811-605-2949. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name?
Thank you. Gunnar Eric, from your local.
Welcome, Ugonna.
Yes, so thank you. The government has taken appropriate measures to put in place some of the things to prevent this thing now, and they have done quarantining and everything. I like what the lawyer has said there. That is a resultant effect of proper planning, assuming that they did all this prior to the time we started recording incidences, palliatives, and other things. See, we wouldn't have had these incidences. So proper planning is key in everything. And I also think beyond COVID-19, we should be looking about how to tackle this issue, because sometimes the rich take advantage of the poor. Malaria to me is a pandemic in Africa. You understand? Lots of people and some other things. They kill more people than even this COVID. So let's find a way to aggregate the entire health sector to have a way forward as a nation. Not just COVID. It has become the only thing now. Cancer and so many other things are killing people more than this COVID.
All right.
So let's look for appropriate measures to tackle the health sector generally. Thank you.
Thank you, Gunnar. Hello, good morning to you. On the SMS line, this one says, Good morning, Mike. I just think that the ban on interstate is not effective because the security agents still find it lucrative. Jennifer Ebere Anosike. Good morning, Mike. Prince Willow Swago from Umunachi Obowo. Please, Honorable, I would like to know differences among lockdown as we are experiencing emergency as in wartime and state of anarchy as in an undemocratic state. Finally, are there punishment for the same? That should be the issue of Imo State you're talking about. Let's see. AG, sir, why do government look the other way on those traders trading at Eket Street? Umahia Dozier from Umahia. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Hello, good morning to you. Okay, we lost that. So let's aggregate the questions together, especially as far as Rivers State situation is concerned.
Yes, and that takes us to what is the legal effect of an executive order.
Okay.
I started by saying that the Quarantine Act, under which the governors can issue executive order, is not self-executing. It means simply there is a legislation that requires that something be done to bring it about. And it is pursuant to Section 6 that the governors have issued these executive orders. And these executive orders are in the nature of a subsidiary legislation. What that means is that in the absence of any other law, that is law of its own. That executive order is also a law that is enforceable with imprisonment, with demolition. Now, the demolition thing I talked about, you find that in the public health law of most states of the federation.
Okay.
Where it says that whenever a building is suspected to be infected with an infectious disease. You ask me, how is a building infected with a infectious disease? It's very simple. We all know that this the coronavirus can stay on a surface for a particular time.
Yes.
But this law targets beyond, like one of the questionnaires asked, targets beyond coronavirus. There could be some infectious diseases that would have a lasting effect on a particular structure. So the health officers, upon noticing that, have the power. First of all, if it's one that can be disinfected, you disinfect. But if it cannot be disinfected, if it is beyond repair, they have the power to pull down the structure.
All right, our time is spent. Many thanks for joining us this morning, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Abia State, Chief Uche Hiedewa. Thank you very much for your time on the program.
Thank you.
And many thanks to the partner stations, BCA 88.1 FM, Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa Radio 104.1 FM, Buzz 89.7 FM, and Real 99.1 FM. The program returns tomorrow. It will be the third edition for the week. My name is Michael Oni. Stay safe and take responsibility.